You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Analese.
This is Rob.
And this is Dr.
And we are your nerd best friends.
It is Nerd Travels time, and this one's for the girls.
Welcome to Nerd Best Friends, the podcast where we talk comics, D&D, pop culture, cosplay, basically all the stuff that makes you go, these are my people. If you're feeling it, do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a fellow nerd. Help us grow the nerd herd. Now, strap in, roll for initiative, and let's get nerdy.
This is episode 92. We're talking nerd travels. This one goes out of the country. We have Dr. Intern Joan back in the studio. How is everyone doing?
Getting over the sickness that comes with traveling, but excited to talk about the trip.
How's your household
supposed to
faring?
Be here today.
I think we'll hear that 5, 6, 7 times. How's your household faring with this flu thing going around, Rob?
I'm fine. We're great. Nobody's got sick. It's beautiful.
Good. Yeah, I got really sick coming back from this trip. Joan got sick coming back this trip. I don't remember if our other few friends did or not. They're pros at this trip. I guess we'll talk about that later. Get your flu shots, folks. All
Definitely
right.
get your flu shots. I did get my flu shot.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, I think. But first, we have some nerd mail.
Nerd mail.
Joan, I hear you have a little bit of nerd mail for us.
I do. Bobby, my longtime friend since junior high, shared she usually has no idea what the nerd is happening on our podcast, but she loves listening to me get to be passionate. So she tunes in for the episodes that I'm on. I haven't cracked her to get to other episodes, but I'll work on it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I just imagine somebody, because we go on these tangents and like, it'll be like a couple minutes and like you listen to your podcast, you're doing something else. And then you're like, and then just this person go like, what the nerd is this? What are they talking about?
Are they still talking about 3D printing?
I think the last one she listened to, she's a teacher. She was grading papers or doing paperwork, and it was the trivia one. So it was really the range of things that she has no idea about, because I was asking the questions for you two.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thanks for listening, Bobby. I promise you, me and Rob are just as funny.
Just as funny as what?
As all three of us.
As having all three of us on the show.
Did Bobby say she only listens to shows that Joan is on?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that part. Come on, Bobby. It's an RSS feed.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's perfect. It's perfect banter for when you're grading papers. I know this from experience.
All right.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bobby. Hi.
Nerds, send in your deep thoughts, nerd questions, or talk nerdy to me subject you'd like us to cover by sliding into our DMs or send those topics in an email to podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. And now it's time. Nerd Travels, edition 2026. I want to start with talking about overseas travel in general. And I think we've all traveled overseas. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Rob's thinking really hard. So
I don't
the answer
think
is generally yes. You've not been
No.
overseas? You've not been out of the country?
I mean, I've been out of the country, but I haven't been to like Europe or Africa or
Okay.
over the
You've
seas.
been to Canada?
I've never been to Japan.
Ooh, I want to go to Japan.
I think if I would go both ways around the globe to different continents.
Sure. You've been to Mexico?
I've been to Mexico, been to Canada.
Via boat?
Via boat. No. Yet? No.
Your cruises never went to Canada or
I thought you were
Mexico?
talking about Mexico.
Canada or Mexico?
I have been on boats and I have been all over North America.
Wow. That's kind of overseas. You go into international waters. Whether or not overseas, let's start with this. Because Girls Just Want a Weekend is a big music festival. And it's a pretty niche, nerdy thing. So it got me thinking, what's the furthest you've traveled for a nerd thing?
Well, that's the beauty of nerdy things is I don't have to travel at all. All my nerdy things are here in my nerd room.
And yet you have. So where's the furthest you've traveled for your nerdy
I'm
things?
trying to think.
Girls Just Wanna is the farthest that I have traveled. Again, Rob is right. All of the nerd things are in my home, and I love my home. I went to Burbank from Portland to go to the General Hospital fan convention.
I mean, that's a thing.
Right. And to Torrance for Hellmouth Con. Those are California from Portland, but the farthest is Mexico.
Hellmouth Con's a good one. San Diego Comic-Con is another one to have traveled to. It's not the furthest. I think Girls Just Want is also the furthest. And then I get to thinking, like, Joan, when we were in college, we we were in a marching band that traveled internationally every 2 years. I don't know if they've kept that pace, but at least at the time in the 90s, it was every 2 years. So that during your time in the band, at least one trip was available to you. I don't know if that counts as nerdy, like going to perform with the marching band in like Spain and Portugal and at the World Fair and stuff like that. Like that's pretty nerdy. I don't know if that counts because it was just a marching band thing. But
I think it counts because your fandom is being in marching band. You are a nerd for marching band, and wherever it takes you, that is part of it. I was unfortunate not to have discretionary income in those years, so I never got to travel.
I'm going to say my trip from Southern California to Milwaukee, Wisconsin was because that was specifically like a nerdy trip. That was a birthday trip where I got to do all the nerdy things that I like to do, like go see 90s bands at Summerfest and do brewery tours and check out like comic and game shops. Like that was like a birthday trip. So it was full of all my nerdy things. And I'm thinking on the map, that's probably the furthest I've gone for a nerd thing specifically.
where was Nerdtacular held?
That was just outside Salt Lake City in
That's right.
Utah.
I was thinking Colorado for some reason. That's wrong. Okay.
Back up, Rob, to your Milwaukee trip. What is the music that you saw? Can you tell us a little more there?
I told this story on the podcast before because it was silly, but I specifically went to go see the band Cake, which is a 90s band that I have always loved because it is very trumpet heavy, kind of rockabilly ska, like just weird music like we used to have in the 90s. And they were here in California, like Central California, and it was early July. And I'm like, oh, that would be a really cool birthday trip. I really like that band. Like, that would be great. Do you want to go? And Maria's like, no, that sounds dumb. It's on like a Thursday. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then I guess the guilt ate away at Maria for months that we didn't go see this band. And so she's like, gosh dang it, next year, like she looked up, well, where can we see this band again? And it was Summerfest this year. And she's like, you know what? That's going to be the birthday present. We'll do this big trip. So it was kind of wrapped around that. But we also did all kinds of other cool, nerdy, like Rob things. Got to see some friends that live, out in the Midwest and stuff. So that's what happened there.
I ask because that's a great 90s tie-in for as we keep talking.
For
I'm
sure.
glad you got to see that band, Rob, that fandom of Cake.
And speaking of Summerfest, so that kind of leads me to my second question. Girls Just Want a Weekend primarily is a music festival.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, you mentioned Summerfest as a music festival. After you came back from that trip, it reminded me that I've actually been to Summerfest before. And you just reminded me again, because it was kind of on accident. I have some friends that live in Port Washington, Wisconsin, and visited them. And they're like, oh, there's this like music festival thing over in Milwaukee. We should go check it out for the day. And we walked up and bought tickets for $20. And it was Summerfest. I had no idea it was this huge yearly thing that's all super huge in
I didn't
Milwaukee.
really either. Like we went for that concert specifically, and it was like part of it. But then once we were there, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's huge. And just looking at all the names of all the bands, lots of 90s stuff, of course, but tons of music from different genres and just going all day, all night, every day. Like it's impressive. I kind of thought, I was like, 5 stages, I think, on that property. Yes. And they're all just going like, it's really incredible. It was like, now that I know, I was like, oh, this is something like we could do again and really max out.
And as big as it is, it never feels like, I mean, I've definitely been to some singular concerts that are so packed it's uncomfortable. Summerfest never felt that way. And in fact, any of the music festivals that I've been to that are festivals, that are all-day events like this, never really quite feel overwhelming with the crowds. Are there other, like Joan, do you have any music festivals that you've gone to, or any others, Rob?
I grew up, this does not count. I grew up going to concerts in the park in my hometown. Well, not a concert festival per se, but it's a community building event. So I got to see the part of that. But I think the one and only other concert or festival other than Girls Just Wanna, I went to the initial year of the Stagecoach Festival, which was supposed to be this companion to Coachella. But the first year of that was pretty cool. It wasn't as crowded. It wasn't as popular, but I definitely got to see some great country artists back when that was my thing.
Right on. But I went to a music festival on accident. I bought tickets. I can't remember if it was Sheryl Crow or Melissa Etheridge, or it could have been both. But it was a whole outdoor fest Jeep thing. I walked in and they had like Jeeps doing stunts in one area. It was huge, and I had no idea. I thought I was just buying a ticket to go see Sheryl Crow or something. And so I went to that, and that was multiple stages. But other than that, I want to kind of circle back to the late 90s, 97, 98, and this music festival called Lilith Fair. Now, we now know of this historical thing. A documentary came out from Dan Levy about Lilith Fair. And the whole premise of that was Sarah McLachlan and a bunch of female artists saying the music industry said at the time that women artists cannot highlight a festival. You need to have male artists. You need to have a mix. It can't just be all women. And Sarah McLachlan just kind of put two middle fingers up to the music industry and created this all-female billed music festival. Called it Lilith Fair, and it traveled around the country to main big cities, and it was a one-day festival, multiple stages, with the purpose of highlighting unknown women artists and their bands on the smaller stages, and then big names on the big stages, like Natalie Merchant, like Sheryl Crow, like Sarah McLachlan, Missy Elliott, the Indigo Girls, and just by nature, I think, of the first year's bill, you had a lot of LGBTQ women at this festival, and it kind of became a thing. So the really funny thing, if I tell this like timeline of story in my life, I went to Lilith Fair on accident because my college roommate won tickets from Ryan Seacrest on Star 98.7 when he was like an unknown LA radio host guy. She won free tickets, and we went to the first one, and we bought tickets to the second one, both at the Rose Bowl. And it was this I can't explain it more than you use the word, Joan, community. It was just this community of celebrating women in music and women in the industry. And I met Sheryl Crow at the second one, I think, because she was just tossing around a football to the side of the stage. And we walked up. I was like, hey, can I take a picture with you? You're awesome. And so it just was this really relaxed thing. I attended both of these. And I went to Ellen's coming out episode before I came out to myself. So I didn't quite grasp that LGBTQ thing as maybe innately, but not as much as I could have had I been out at the time. I bring that up because we're going to talk about Girls Just Want a Weekend. It's Brandi Carlile's Girls Just Want a Weekend. This is the 7th year of its existence. And on its onset, in my research for this, because I actually didn't know, I thought maybe Brandi Carlile just wanted to do a music fest and take her family to an all-inclusive resort in Mexico. She actually has the same idea in building this weekend that Sarah McLachlan did 30 years ago. And it's billed as an all-female, non-binary music festival. It launched in 2019 to combat the severe lack of women booked at mainstream festivals. So here we are 30 years later. You have this artist named Brandi Carlile, who, I don't know, Jen, she's like a mid-major musician at this time. Like, she's not a big name like a Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, I think I would say that. People who are listening may correct us because I am new to her.
And people who are listening are like, no way. She's definitely, she's singing for the Super Bowl this year. She's singing
I think she skyrocketed when she did her work with Elton John and like some of the recent stuff that she's been doing. Yeah. Fair to say.
But at the time, 2019, a lot of her songs were more well-known in movies. And that's how I was introduced to her music. She had a song in the movie, I'm going to forget the name of it, but it was a Nicholas Sparks movie, and it had a song. I'm like, that's a really nice song. And I looked it up. I'm like, who's this Brandi Carlile? And like everyone else, I mistook her for Belinda Carlisle. And I'm like, is that the girl from the Go-Go's or the Bangles? Or so?
That's interesting. I know her music from Grey's Anatomy, which I've been rewatching. And I guess that's where a lot of her music got launched. Grey's Anatomy is based in Seattle, where she's from. Seattle area.
So the origin of this whole thing, Brandi Carlile creates this weekend festival that really takes Lilith Fair and makes it a weekend. Because on the onset, it was at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, and it's happened 7 years, including the pandemic. We know about it because two of our friends from college have big fans of Brandi Carlile and have been to all of these since the first one. And even during the pandemic, it was at the Hard Rock Hotel, I think in Playa del Carmen, maybe. Yep. They all had to stay on their balconies in 2021. It was all inclusive, but food had to be delivered to their resort. And then the concerts were so that everyone could sit on their balconies and watch it. So they've been to every single year. I remember seeing their pictures and being jealous. It's a bucket list item for me to go to an all-inclusive resort, and to go listen to a women's festival to me just rang just like Lilith Fair. And so I've now gone twice. And Joan, you have gone
thrice.
Twice and thrice.
So what is the music?
It is everything.
Like it's a
women.
music festival. What is it different genres? Is it, you said 90s, like what's the actual music vibe?
Listen, Analese could probably take this one better than I. I took a huge break from music in kind of the 2000s, like a complete break. So I am out of the world of music. I don't know. I've come to learn that at least Brandi's brand of music is Americana. It's, what did she say this year at the festival? It's mistaken for liberal country. Like
Yes.
that's how it was classified.
Right.
And the first year I went to the festival, it definitely rang true to that because she had more country artists. Shania Twain was there, Mary Chapin Carpenter, Brandy Clark, like some of the Americana singers, but it's definitely more than that.
Yes. So what's done really well for this music festival is it also, just like Lilith Fair, brings on emerging or somewhat unknown female artists. And the festival itself happens during the day. So there's a day stage at a pool. So people like hanging out at the pool or in the pool, and they're listening to some of these lesser known artists. And then you have the Carlisle Family Band, which is basically her relatives. They all have a band and they perform during the day stage. There's a really great duo of African-American women who they call themselves Sister Strings, and one plays the cello and one plays the violin, and they modernize that music and they perform on the day stage, and it is so good.
Wait, and the flute.
And the flute, that's right.
One of them
she
played
played
the flute too. Yeah.
She played
Don't
the flute
forget
during
my
the
jazz
90s.
flute.
Exactly. So, and they also joined Brandy Carlisle on stage at the night concert. So then there's night concerts that start about 8:00 at night. And again, you get some newer, there's some I'd never heard of before, but are well known in women rock music last year, like Muna. Never heard of them before, but they're pretty popular.
Yep. Maren Morris is in that Americana realm. I hadn't heard of her before.
There was CMAT this year, which they were from Ireland, weren't they? And there was a band of trans women
from England,
Jasmine Forti. They were really good. So this has turned into, for me, a festival of women that I may not have ever heard their music. There's I'm gonna butcher her last name. Her first name's Joy. Last name starts with an O, and I'm gonna have to look up her name. But I downloaded her albums after hearing her perform live this year. She's so good. And then there are big name artists. Shania Twain was a headliner last year. Sam Smith is a headliner this year, who considers non-binary, so it fits in this realm that Brandy Carlisle created. And then, of course, the Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. They were the big headliner with Sam Smith this year. So it's a little bit of everything. I know there was a year, it might have been your first year, Joan, but I remember seeing the list of performers before I started going, and Katie Tunstall is one of my favorite female rock artists. She was there one year, and so I'm bummed I missed that one. But that's kind of what the festival is. It's women and non-binary artists who maybe by themselves wouldn't get a headlining show.
Well, and let's culminate, Rob, I'll bring it around to your question, like, what does this have to do with the 90s that I mentioned earlier?
Right.
The last set of the night, in the last few years, had been an 80s playlist. So all of the bands and performers from the festival each pick an 80s song, and then they perform those on the last night. So it's like this big karaoke sing-along performance. The last 2 years have been 90s. So everybody took a 90s song. Along with the 90s, 80s and 90s nights, festival goers, performers, everybody dresses up in 80s and 90s. So it's to see their costumes, to see what people come up with is fascinating.
Okay. So is the demographic then, does it skew old? Like, is everybody there in their 40s and 50s and remembers the 90s? Or is it mostly young and it's just like a kitschy thing to be like, the 90s, we weren't born, but there were different colors?
It is everything. The answer is yes. There's a group called Owls, Older, Wiser Lesbians, and they're in their 50s and 60s, and they're there up to like kids around us. I say kids, like early 20s
families
who were not. And there's families, yes. There's one of the resorts is a family-friendly resort. So there's kids and teenagers and
babies with soundproof headphones being carried around.
This festival is really as all-inclusive as the resorts are. In fact, the comedian Kristen Key did a whole part of her set about what she calls older lesbians, as anyone 40 and above, and like 90% of the crowd booed her when she said that. So yeah, it is really all ages.
I would say it ranges in fandom too, because you have Brandy's solid hardcore fans, which is called the Bramley.
The Bramley.
And they're the ones that line up for every event early or in front of the stage and are there and do every single event from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. And then there's the casual fan or the people who are enjoying the resort. And, there happens to be music here too. Cool people. So it really runs the gamut.
And there were a lot of like Shania Twain fans last year wearing concert shirts. There were a lot of the Chicks fans wearing their concert shirts. So I think it's something for everybody. The other thing we didn't talk about just real quick is during the day, they also have non-music events. Abby Wambach, pro soccer player, they have a soccer field on one of the resorts. So they do just an open, fun soccer game for kids and families. They had the two women, Haley and Kate Moaning, who were on the L Word, and now they have a podcast. And so they came up and they did like a Q&A in one of the resorts. They had drag bingo this year. They have karaoke. They have just these events. They have meetups, BIPOC, people of color meet up here, or a affinity group for non-binary folks to meet up here. And they have drum circles. People bring like ukuleles and instruments and they sit on the grass and just play music together. Like it's just this whole event all during the day and then big concerts at night.
All right. So it does sound very much like community building, meeting people, doing all of these different kinds of meetups and finding community and those kinds of things. So what's like the nerdiest, like you go to those things, you're looking at the list of events. What are like the nerd ones, right? This is the nerd travel. What is nerdy about it? Why would a nerd attend these events and who are they going to meet?
Well, so I think this is really for the music nerd because there's a woman that I've seen pictures of that brings her violin and sits in the drum circle with people with ukuleles and guitars and little drums, and they're just sitting all jamming like that. To me, that's pretty nerdy. I will say also, like, as a nerd myself, the nerdiest thing I do is lay my butt on a poolside chair for the day and do nothing but jump in the pool and unplug. And to me, that's the nerdiest thing I do. Joan reads like 19 books while we're there.
Yeah, I read 4 books over 4 days.
In 5 days.
Yeah, so it is an excuse to unplug from your nerddom and then partake in some music if perhaps you're not a music nerd.
There's sticker exchanges. There's people who make like kind of the Taylor Swift idea of making bracelets. People will make things and there's a whole like exchange. That's pretty nerdy. I think this is kind of a choose your own nerd adventure, but I will tell you there seems to be room for like a tabletop game session of some sort in this festival, but I'm not going to do it. So,
well, I remember the first year there's a whole WhatsApp community associated with this festival. And the first year there was something about tarot readings. And I was like, oh, I love that. I'm going to go do that, but then never did. There's also this serious swag swap. Like, yes, there are stickers, but then there is this group of people who make earrings and bracelets and like very like legit Etsy style swag, and they go and exchange things. So there are really these pockets. You just have to find them. There is a free little library. So people who there are readers can exchange books.
And you bring a book, leave a book? Or
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And just
absolutely.
Do that kind of thing?
I didn't leave anything, but I definitely took one.
Okay. Breaking news admitted on the show. Dr. Intern Joan stole from the festival.
Oops.
In complete defiance of the community guidelines.
Right. So to Annalise's point, I think it really is choose your own adventure. There were probably people playing D&D that we just don't know about.
Probably. ROI question.
More than likely, some people playing card games.
Did you give away all of the stickers?
Yes.
And did you sell the koozies?
I gave away koozies.
Okay, that's fine.
One of the days I had a massage early in the morning at the other resort where the pool concerts are. And so it was early in the morning. So only a handful of people are out like trying to reserve their little chairs around the pool, the day stage. And I just dropped koozies all over the
No, Adelie, you're supposed to be like, show me your phone that you're subscribed to this podcast.
I had a massage to go to. I did not have time to stand there and wait for people to come in. But
giving these things away.
and did sticker exchange with our stickers. Yeah, everything was good. Everyone's like, this sounds really great. So yes, there is that. I will also say Joan mentioned an unplug from the nerdy things. It is really a choose your own adventure of how nerdy you want to get. I walked the entire bank of resorts because there's like 5 resorts across this coastline. For me, the nerdiest thing I did that day was go explore what the other resorts had to offer. And I didn't realize I had walked so far until I had like gone to the last resort and I like ran out of place to walk and I turned and I saw our resort like way on the other side and I took a picture. They have a whole flea market that if that's your thing, there's a flea market there. You can barter and get some goods. There's a casino there. There's an escape room. Like these resorts have really everything. There's go-karts.
What?
I found where the go-karts are so you could go do go-karts.
And let's talk about food too. There's food if you're a foodie. There's different restaurants on the resort. So you got Mexican, Italian, French, Japanese.
Hibachi, sushi.
Yeah, there's a ton of food.
And the other thing, Rob, we've talked a lot before about growing up and how uncool it was to be a nerd and just being worried about the perception. There's something to this festival and the community that's built there. It's referred to as the bubble. And it really, truly is. I don't know, like, oh, it's a safe place. It really is. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what you love, what you do. This is easily one of the safest large events that I've ever been to. Man, child, woman alike, everyone just is allowed to exist. There isn't any social, like, people don't argue, they don't get into fights. Just everything is just really safe inside this bubble. And it's jarring to leave it because you're in this space that it's just okay. Nobody cares. And so, yeah, I saw a table of people playing card games. They were just playing a card. And I was going to go like, hey, what are you guys playing? But their table was full. So I just kind of walked by. But there's no judgment. This whole weekend when you're there, you're in this bubble and there's no judgment. And it's really, really beautiful. And then it just happens to have these really cool concerts at night.
That's how the music is secondary to me. I like being with my friends, maybe listening to some new music, but just doing whatever I want.
Well, that I think is the greatest connection to the Nerd Best Friends podcast. If you're here and you're listening to this podcast, by that very thing of existence, you belong. And I think that is special.
It really is. And one of the questions we have on our list, like, why would Rob go? Rob with his family would have a great time here. You don't have to buy into the music. You don't even have to go to the concerts, honestly, if you don't want to. They go pretty late. In fact, I skipped out one of them because it was the second round of the NFL playoffs. And so I bought myself a giant 49ers sarape at the flea market. And there was a meetup. I didn't go to the meetup. I just hung out in the room. And we had a premium room this year with like a swim up pool. So I just got like room service and hung out in my room to watch. I missed some of the concerts. And to me, it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't having FOMO like, oh my gosh, I have to be there. But I'm not a big Brandi Carlile fan. So I'm a fan enough, but I'm not like, oh my God, I need to be there for every minute. So like, why would Rob go? I can only imagine being able to see you this relaxed and just allowed to be.
We can all only imagine that.
It's pretty magical. And then for me, and I think you as well, we're in management now, and Joan, her job, like one of the biggest gifts of this weekend is to not have to make a single decision about anything. We roll out of bed. We go have breakfast at the buffet that has like build your own chilaquiles every day and get coffee and then go find a place to sit by the pool. And we're just there by the pool in the shade, jumping in the water. The ocean is right next to it. So you walk another 20 feet and you're on the sand in the ocean and just hanging out. And then at some point going back in and getting some food and maybe going back and taking a nap. And then we make reservations for the nice restaurants every night, go to that and roll from that into the concert, get some fresh made churros at the concert and just kind of sit and listen to music and then go to bed. Like it is no thought to the weekend and you're just allowed to exist and nobody bugs anybody else. It's pretty cool.
I think we forgot a major important why would Rob go to this festival?
Yeah. Why?
Rob, they have a beer exchange.
They do.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
yeah. With like the home brewers bring their stuff and share.
You just bring from wherever you are. You can bring stuff from Santa Barbara.
Because it's so international.
Yes. Yeah, correct.
And people meet up and just trade different beers. So see, lots of nerd opportunities in this setting.
And also, they also always have a custom Brandi Carlile Girls Just Wanna IPA every year made from a local Mexico brewery. I never stand in line to try it. They have some custom IPA every year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, there's lots of reasons Rob would come to this thing and bring his family and just chill out with friends, because at the end of the day, hanging out with my friends, I haven't done any of the day things at all.
We have yet to. I'm my third year in, and we keep saying, oh, that songwriting journaling session with X famous singer sounds wonderful. And then we're still sleeping by the time that thing happens.
Okay, rapid fire questions that we've got here about the festival. Oh, this is an interesting question. One thing that made you cry, Analese, jerk our
This one's
heartstrings.
easy. I am a big fan of Andrea Gibson, who was an amazing poet. I found them and learned about them while I was living in Toledo when I discovered a poem that they had written about the Pulse shooting. When I was studying, the class I was studying, violence prevention and stuff, I found this poem and I just became a big old nerd fan. I saw them live. I have a poster signed by them to me. And Gibby had cancer and passed away recently, within the last year, handful of months ago. And their widow, Megan Falley, helped make a documentary about the end of their life. And because they knew they were not going to survive the cancer. And this documentary, Come See Me in the Good Light, has now been nominated for Academy Award, which is really exciting. I have not been able to watch it yet because I am so emotionally wrecked by their death. But they had Megan Falley at the festival and they did a screening of it, which would have been a great time to go see it around other fans. But again, I didn't want to sit and cry the entire weekend because it was one of the first days there. So I missed out on that. However, on the 90s night, Brandi Carlile brought Megan Falley out to sing You're Still the One. And that's Shania Twain, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shania Twain's You're Still the One. And they were showing scenes of the documentary, and I just had to sit and sob. So that made me cry in all the beautiful ways.
Joan's crying right now just thinking about it.
I
Joan,
am.
what's something,
I'm fighting
what's
it.
something from the festival
I
that
know.
made you
I was
cry?
patting her shoulder. Like, Analese doesn't do emotion that often. So I was like, whoa, this is serious.
Anger's an emotion.
Yeah, it is frustrating. Yeah, sure.
Nerd rage is an emotion.
I tear up every time Brandi Carlile sings The Mother about her first experience becoming a mother. And that's only because my mother passed away 5 years ago this year. And so that one always gets me.
It's a beautiful song, too. She almost had me she does a cover of Uninvited that is just for the ages. My goodness, Alanis Morissette's Uninvited is one in itself, just this powerful, very woman-powered themed song. And she does it with sister strings and a whole almost orchestra behind her. So she almost got me at that, but I was more excited than anything else. Okay, that's it. We're not quite doing well with rapid fire, but it's okay.
Rapid fire. This one will go quicker. What made you laugh?
Rob, look up Kristen Key on Instagram. Watch her stuff. She's freaking hilarious. She did a cover of Closer to Fine, and all of the Brandi Carlile's fan base rallied around her and got her to be the opener on night 2 or 3 to do her comedy show. She's hilarious.
Really funny. In fact, when the first year I was going for Girls Just Want a Six, listener Juliana was like, Kristen Key's going to be there. I've seen her live. She's so funny. You should check her out. So check out Kristen Key. I laughed my butt off. Kristen Key's set, I was standing in line for fresh churros and just dying of laughter.
I mean, I'm not saying that I stalk people, but she's pretty close to stalker, like, fandom for me. I went to her Christmas holiday extravaganza that was a one night only in Portland last summer. Like, I'll go see her wherever she is now.
And you did a meet and greet with her, right?
No, I didn't stand in line for that because it was a school night and I had to work the next day and I was tired.
Kristen Key, check her out.
Okay. And then what was your big takeaway moment? That moment that it can only happen there. That surreal moment that you'll always look back on 2026's trip.
I mean, what's going to stand out for me is the new artist she invites. And C-Matt, we said, was an Irish singer. She brought her band. I don't know if you know Eurovision, Rob. Have you seen the movie?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I never felt like I was plopped into the middle of a Eurovision set in my life. Like, it was just weird enough where I was like, where am I? What's happening? Her performance was wild.
Very wild. I don't know that this is unique to just Girls Just Want It because the Chicks are such a large band, but they hadn't played live, they said, in almost 3 years. And I don't know that I would ever have bought a tickets to go see them by themselves. Being there in that environment is the first time I've realized how ahead of their time they were and how women-powered they were and how there's a generation of women who clinged onto their songs during adolescence and young adulthood to become who they are. And experiencing that in the bubble with that band was pretty crazy. All these songs that I recognized that I liked, but I didn't realize when they sing Cowboy Take Me Away, when they sing, Earl, I knew it was going to be a party. That's a woman power song if there's ever one, even though it's about murder. There was something about it that I had not understood until seeing it in the bubble. So to me, even though I could go see the Chicks somewhere, I don't think it would be the same experience.
Mm-hmm. Last one thing you wish Rob could have seen.
We kind of talked about this already. John, I think we have the same one, don't we?
Yeah. He's night, Rob, all the way. Specifically, Abby Wambach, I feel like is such a serious person and an athlete, but to see her running around the stage singing Come to My Window with her wife, to see just different personas of these people that we think we know in one way. It's fun.
All these 90s covers by themselves are such nostalgia. And the whole night is just this. The whole last concert is just the cover stuff. It's hours and hours and hours of it. I think they had one opening act because
they love covers.
Yeah,
and
you would love this night. And everyone got in costumes. My favorite costumes this time around, last year was all the Romy and Michelles that we saw, because there was 6 different groups of Romy and Michelles, and there was a lot of Wayne and Garth last year. This year it was pretty out there, and there was a whole group of women dressed in Double Dare with the things on their head and running around playing games and tossing things. They were some people went all out. That was really fun to see. But I think you would really love that cover night. Sister Strings went on. That's how we knew one of them plays the flute, because they did All Star and she
flute.
busted. She held that flute the entire time for that 10 seconds. Deet, deet, do, 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 do. She just played the flute for like 15 seconds, but it was
Meanwhile, the other sister was dressed as the Kool-Aid man. So
she was. I mean, yeah, it's wild. And they take shots of tequila throughout the entire concert, and it's just pandemonium, but it's fun pandemonium of 90s covers. I think you would really enjoy that night. That's one thing I think you would have loved to see.
Fun times.
So we want to invite listeners who either went or wish they could go. Share your experiences or what you wish to experience if you're able to go to a future one. We know there's at least one more happening. They've already announced the dates. We don't know how long Brandy Carlisle will decide to keep this festival going. I think the festival itself has become a thing more than the concerts themselves. Like, to be able to attend this weekend at an all-inclusive resort in this bubble is a thing. She's created a monster, really, of people who want to go to this kind of place. But any listener, compare and contrast your festival experiences. If you went to Girls Just Wanna any year, you want to write in podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. We also have our two great friends from college, Francis and Liberty, who have gone since year one. If they want to chime in and tell us about their stuff,
tell us. And also, here is a call to action. Next year, every year we talk about a group costume for 90s night. We need suggestions on a 4 to 5 people group costume that we can do up and take potentially the last year out with a huge bang and get noticed.
For the 90s, yeah.
For the 90s,
that's a good call. This year, I just wore my original Lilith Fair shirt.
We all wore 90s shirts. Like, I wore my Buffy shirt.
Yeah.
Liberty wore her Rent shirt.
Well, yeah.
So we
Rent's
kind of
30
copped
years old,
out.
yeah.
But
Ooh, what about Captain Planet and the Planeteers? Everybody has picks one of those kids from Captain Planet and does an outfit. Because that's not like a huge, they're not crazy, right? It'd be like cargo shorts and a t-shirt and a vest.
That could be one. Yeah, that's
amazing.
A good idea.
Taking notes, Rob.
Okay. What about?
Joan and Liberty did Daria and Jane last year, but that was like super costume heavy in the warm Mexico environment. I think both of you went
Well,
and
if
changed.
weather is a concern, just go
Weather
with
is a huge
DuckTales,
concern.
right? Green hat, green shirt, no pants.
Okay. All right.
That's so right. We'll see how all-inclusive it is.
All right. Girls Just Wanna. We'll see whether I go to number 8. Time will tell. So will my pocket. All right, Dr. Intern Joan, I know you've been on the last few episodes, but I think we're about to hit a couple episodes without you. So we'll start with you this time around. What's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Listen, on the heels of Girls Just Wanna, I am dreaming big about travel. I sat down with my husband and we looked at the next 3 years of travel. And the thing I am most excited about is plotting in 2 years' time my 50th birthday trip, which is going to be book related. And it's going to be a tour of the different regions of the U.S. So stay tuned for that itinerary
lovely.
as I create it and roll it out.
Now that's what I'm
Lovely.
talking about. I love that. That's really cool.
How about you, Rob? What's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Buddy, it's been the nerdiest thing I've done every single weekend for the last 3 weekends. And This is, so everybody knows, Rob loves painting miniatures, tabletop games, paint miniatures, all this thing. And for years, I would see videos and tutorials and stuff, and it's all about the airbrush, right? Everybody knows airbrush. You got your compressor, you got your little thing, and you make these glowy effects, and you do all this stuff, and everybody uses airbrush. And I was always like, that sounds crazy. It's like a bunch of space. It's I have a compressor. It's going to be a mess. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how they work, whatever. Maria is also a miniature painter, but she's also been really getting into doing costuming and prop work and things like this for the different theater shows that my son is involved in. And so she was talking about an airbrush. So for her birthday in January, I was like, okay, I'm going to get Maria this airbrush. And I went all out. I did a bunch of research. I was looking at what to get here, what to do this, blah, 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 weighing and stuff. And I got everything as organized and complete, totally nerded out as I could, where I got a case, a big Pelican case full of foam, the little compressor, the hoses, the cleaners, all this kind of stuff, laid it all out. So it's all in this one mobile compartment of a case. And we started learning how to use an airbrush for minis. And I can tell you, I can't believe I was afraid of the airbrush and never had one over these last 10 years. It's so easy and it makes such a difference. You know the drill, Analese. You got to prime some minis. You got to wait for a sunny day. You have to be like, you got to give them a little bit of spray. You got to wait for it to dry for like half an hour. You got to flip it over and do the other side. You got to look and see where you missed. It probably takes, like I was saying, like I usually paint like prime 5 to 10 minis at a time. Takes a good hour and a half to like get everything done and let everything dry. I sat out there at the table with this airbrush and some airbrush primer. We literally did 63 minis in just one session sitting there.
Wow.
My entire like backlog for the year is all prime, all zenithal, right? And it's so thin. It doesn't clog the details. Like, you know, sometimes you spray too much with the rattle can. Like, my God, it's so glorious. It's so easy. And it's been making things really quick. And Maria's already started with like doing different painting, and she's got crowns and severed hands and stuff she's doing for like these different stage shows that she's putting paint on and everything. And I'm like, I can't believe it took me this long to pull the trigger on an airbrush. And it's just been epic. I can't wait. Like today, I'm like, oh, what are we done recording? The sun's out. I'm going to go outside and start painting stuff again. It's been so much fun.
That's super cool. I'm glad it's going well. I remember a couple years ago, I almost got you like a starter airbrush set, and I was just kind of talking to you about it to see what your interest was. And you're like, you were like, well, you kind of need this big old space, and then it has to be this, and it has to be that, and then you need a compressor, you need this, and you need that, and I was like, okay, he's not interested.
No. I wasn't.
So
it just seemed like a big hassle. But now that I see like the time savings it is and the results that I'm getting, I'm like, no, this is what we're. Plus, I definitely spent a lot of time making sure that I've got this like special box where you can like open it up, plug it in, and go. Right. Instead of having all the stuff everywhere, trying to have like an indoor setup and stuff. So that's
great. I'm so glad.
Piece.
I'm glad you're getting good use out of the present you bought for your wife.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think I was going to say, but no, I know I've used it more than she has.
And I assume it will pair well with a 3D printer.
Absolutely. That is another thing that we have been doing as far as like the more involved Maria's been getting with like the stagecraft and props and stuff, the more crazy fun things that we've been printing as well. And so that's been an interesting thing because 3D printing has always been something that I've done. And now Maria's on it all the time. You're not using the printer, right? And she's making stuff. And yeah, the airbrush is a big part of that as well. It's great. And even like the costuming and stuff, you know, like painting stuff on clothes, and it's crazy. It's awesome. Having a lot of fun.
Good times. So the nerdiest thing I did this week, when we got back from Girls Just Wanna and I took a look at my pocketbook, I'm like, I got to start doing something about all my stuff that I just don't use anymore. So I went back and refreshed my good old eBay account and changed my name to Collector Zero because I have stuff that people want. And I also did a whole thing about letting go about how much I paid for things in 1990 versus now and what it's worth and all that good stuff. And I just listed a bunch of stuff. But what's happening is I'm selling stuff, which is great. I'm getting rid of stuff and it's super easy and it's profitable. But I mean, I'm making $20 here and there. It's not like I'm going to supplement my income or anything. It's really just the idea that stuff that I've had forever that I wanted is now going to someone else's house who's going to enjoy it as well. Or they're reselling it for more than I sell. Like, I don't really care.
Sure.
So what I'm doing is just doing one more leaf through of these comics that I'm getting rid of. Or in this case, Alison Bedschel, the author of Dykes to Watch Out For, old comic strip from the 90s. I have a couple of those books that I bought like at Borders in like 1996 or something. They've just been sitting on the shelf. I've not reread them. And now I can read them online, or I have Fun Home and some of the books she's written that are more modern that I really like. So I put a bunch up. So I'm just kind of like looking through them one last time and reread those two that I sold this past weekend. So the nerdiest thing I did this week was just reread some of the comics that I'm now shipping off to for someone else to enjoy.
And do you find that things are going pretty quickly?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Some things that I thought would go faster are not going at all. I have a whole pin book from Disney. At one point, I thought I'd be a Disney pin collector, and they're old. Like, you can't find these anymore. So I looked, each individual pin is worth a lot, but I have a whole book. So I underpriced that book, but people want to underprice it more, even though I think I have it up there for $60 and every pin in there is worth more than 10. And there's like 15 pins in there.
Okay.
People want it really cheap to probably break it up and resell it. So I'm surprised that one hasn't. Like, tons of watchers on that one and no purchases. And then, I had a stack of years and years of free comic book day comics.
Oh, sure.
I sold the lot for like $5. And that went really fast. So that surprised me. Like ones that I thought people weren't going to care about. So I leafed through those and stuff like that. And I purposely took out like the Stranger Things ones over the last couple of years and put all those in a bundle. Those sold really fast.
That is something that I desperately also need to do. And I guess I get kind of frustrated. I don't know if you come up with any tips and tricks, because that's what I'll do is like, okay, this is the day. And I like take everything out and I'll take pictures of it and I'll post it. And I'm like, all right, I just spent 8 hours getting all of this stuff organized. And then it's like, well, it's not going to sell now. So what do I do with it? Do I have like this giant pile of stuff in the middle of the room that's waiting to go? Do I put it all away and then wait for it to come back? Then something, it's like, oh, this sold. And it's like, crap, do I have a box for it? Do I have a box for it? What is it? Like, there's got to be some kind of service where I just pull up my car, pop the trunk and be like, here, I would like all of this to go away and you could send me a check someday. That would be great.
There were things like that for a while, but not so much anymore. And what I have found is I just put up a couple things a week. Like I'm not going to be a serious reseller. I'm not going to go to like Goodwill and find things to resell. I'm really just selling off my collection of stuff, right?
I just need to get more room.
And stuff in the garage. And and it's different than stuff we'd put out at a yard sale.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than that. So I just have a separate bin in the garage of stuff I've put on eBay. So when something sells, I just go to that bin in the garage. Now, granted, it was out here in the nerd room because I had taken my table out, my gaming table, and that's what I packed for Girls Just Wanna. And then that's what I unpacked, and I got sick coming back. So it's been sitting out here in my eBay pile that I put up in recent weeks is sitting there, but I don't have a clean system. And the other thing that's helpful is Sarah has more flexible work, with what she does. So she could just go to the post office for me. Like I print the labels and she just drops stuff off at the post office. So it's
now, is that a thing that you choose? Like, do I have to have a box and packing material and all that stuff? Or are there, like, if I have the right kind of label, do they just like throw it in something for me?
No, you have to have your own stuff.
Well, I go to it's called Postal Annex here, but they have shipping stores. You could just bring it and say, here, ship this. Here's the address. And they'll pack it all and do it for you. So it takes the difficulty out of it than doing it yourself. Because I don't mess with that.
Right.
I mostly do the priority boxes. They are free. And that's what on eBay, like they don't get a choice. They're free. Priority boxes are free. Everything that I ship in is free.
Though.
Yes, but I only allow buyers to pay for priority shipping. That's the only option. Or my other thing is I'll price it higher and just say free shipping, which also it's psychology of how you sell stuff, right? So the only option for buyers for me is priority shipping. So I'm not paying for it. The box is free. I keep stuff like when I get stuff from Amazon or I get stuff for Christmas that gets shipped to me, I'll keep those innards in the box with the stuff that I'm selling from eBay. And so I'll just reuse those. Worst case scenario, I just get a bunch of newspaper and pile it out in the priority box. I print the label and just go drop it off.
What is this?
I'm not crazy, right? In the movie, the 40-year-old virgin, the female lead of that owns an eBay shop where you just drop your stuff off.
We sell stuff on eBay shop.
Yes.
They used to exist. So it's so funny because that's the first thing I thought of, but I'm like, do I bring up that reference? There used to be shops that do that. I bet if you took it to Dan Garsky's house, he'll do it for you. Got him. That's our old band director.
There's no amount of money I could make. No, I'm just kidding.
I just want $5 an item, Dan. Everything else is yours. Take care of it. JK. Next week on Nerd Best Friends, we go over some of the nerdy things coming up that we are excited for. Learn what's making our nerdy hearts excited and what we look forward to this spring. Before you go, join us. Hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you felt the nerd love, drop us a 5-star rating and help more nerds find their people. Find us on social media at Nerd Best Friends or email podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Grow the nerd herd, spread the geeky joy, and we'll see you next time. Joan, thanks for being part of Girls Just Wanna and being on the podcast again. And to you, Franny and Liberty, for inviting me into this space.
You are welcome. I hope you go in the future.
I hope so too. All right, nerds, next week, it's nerd stuff.
See ya.
You doing okay, Joan?
My cat freaking loves me. And so she's like purring all over.
No, cat. Yeah.